Hey, what's going on, you guys? So this is going to be my top movies of 2022. I'm not going to do a top 10 list because I saw too many movies that I enjoyed last year. I could not narrow it down to 10. There would have been like 10 more runner-up. I don't want to do that. I'd rather just like talk about them all. And let me preface that this is my favorite movies of the year. I know that not everybody's going to agree with this. And there's some movies on here that some of you people are going to be like, really? Yeah, really, I enjoyed them. We're going to talk about them. Some I like more than others, but these are the movies that stuck out to me. 2022 is actually a really good year for movies, to be honest with you. Also, I didn't see every movie that came out in 2022. I haven't had a chance to see Avatar: The Way of Water yet. That might have been on this list, but I haven't seen it yet. But I've seen basically, I think, every other movie that I wanted to see last year, so I can make a pretty good, confident list here. So hopefully you see some things in here that you might have not seen yet, or maybe some things that you thought about checking out but you weren't sure if they were worth your time. Also, I'm not going to do these in any specific order. I'm just going to look at my Letterboxd list that I made and I'm just going to talk about them. So we're going to kick things off with a movie that I haven't seen on anybody's top 10 list, and that's fine. Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Yeah, it's dumb. Alright, it's dumb. There's a lot of dumb parts in it. It's basically a kid's movie. But I love Sonic. I've always loved Sonic. And the first Sonic movie was like one of those movies that nobody was expecting to be good. Nobody expected that first Sonic movie to be good. And they basically nailed it. And Sonic 2 gives us Tails. It gives us Knuckles. Idris Elba, dude, nailed it as Knuckles. He was great as Knuckles. Jim Carrey being his even more over the top Jim Carrey than he was in the last movie is perfect. And the death egg sequence near the end of the movie, dude, I loved it. It's just it's good stuff. I loved Sonic 2. I cannot wait for Sonic 3. Whew. At this point, everybody's seen Sonic 2. They're bringing in Shadow. Dude, I cannot wait to see Shadow. I'm curious to see who they're going to get to voice him, though. I want to see Keanu Reeves. I think Keanu Reeves' Shadow would be pretty cool. Next up, we got The Batman. Now, I'm not like a die-hard Batman. I've seen all the Batman movies, but I know that there's some people that are like devout Batman fans. I know one, I work with somebody who's like obsessed with Batman. I'm not quite on that level, but I really liked The Batman because it was like one of those movies. It didn't feel like a DC, it didn't feel like a comic book movie up until near the end. It felt more like I was watching Seven. It felt more like a David Fincher movie that just happened to have Batman. I really like Paul Dano. He was really good as the Riddler. Robert Pattinson, he's good. He's good. He's at this point he's completely like surpassed the Edward Cullen stereotype casting that he had. He's now just a great actor. The Batman had great score, great action sequences. The chase with the Penguin, bro, that was good. The entire last half of the movie was great. It was probably one of my favorite Batman movies out of them all. I'd say it was probably, other than The Dark Knight, I think it was probably my second favorite Batman movie. I love Batman Begins, and I really like The Dark Knight Rises, but other than The Dark Knight, which is basically a perfect superhero movie, I would say that The Batman is probably my second favorite one. It's great stuff. Next up, we got Scream. Otherwise known as Scream 5. Yeah, I love Scream. I love them all. There hasn't been a bad one. I mean, if you really want to hyperanalyze it, Scream 3 is probably the weakest out of the Scream franchise, but even Scream 3 is not bad. It's just the weakest out of the Scream movies. And like bringing back the original cast, the new cast, it was way gorier than any of the other Scream movies have been. It was a blast. It was a lot of fun. It was so good. I have over there, you can't see it because it's off camera. I have a poster, like a theatrical poster that I got from my theater. I just need to get it framed. It's sweet as hell. I don't want to hang it up without an actual frame. I love Scream. I am super excited for Scream 6. I didn't think I was going to, they released Scream in January, man. Like, that was like, they release the crap in January. Those are usually when the movies in January are usually the ones that like the studios are trying to dump because they think they're not going to do good. Scream was a blast. I loved it. And next up, I'm going to combine these into basically one entry. We got Jackass Forever and Jackass 4.5. I grew up with these movies. I'm of that generation. I'm part of the MTV generation. Somewhere in my mom's collection of VHS tapes, there's a video of me filming my own Jackass stunts. I made my own movie. It was called Dumbass. It was very original. The opening credits were like Rob Zombie's Reload, and I had like paper with like my name, and this was like directed by Colton West, and I was like moving paper out of the way. There's like a clip of me slamming into like throwing water on the floor and then running into my kitchen tables and just smashing into the table, sticking my face in an open fan. It was good stuff. I love Jackass. And Jackass, I consider these two movies because they're basically just two parts of each other. So like Jackass 4 is the theatrical movie, 4.5 is just the additional content. And I feel like the two of them combined make just a better movie. So I would say if you're going to watch the Jackass movie, watch all of them together, Jackass 4 and 4.5. They're hilarious. They're great. It was great to see the old cast come back looking old, because I feel old as hell, man. The new cast did great. Everybody held their own. The stunts were great. It was just good. It was a good time. And it came out at a time when we needed that, man. Because, like, fuck, man, everything kind of sucks right now. So next up, we have The Sadness.
我找到你了。
This movie's sick. me and my buddy, we basically were just like, I was like, I've heard some interesting things about this. Let's just watch The Sadness. We were having some drinks at the time. Maybe not. Maybe it wasn't a good idea. But there's a comic book that's written by the same guy that wrote The Boys, and it's called, I think it's called Crossed, and it's sick. It's basically just like some sort of an illness or something. Basically, just makes it makes your evil tendencies just come out, and you do whatever you want. And The Sadness is like a Asian version, an Asian take on that. So it's basically just an entire town just goes nuts. Everybody becomes like infected by something that just makes them crazy. And it's one of the sickest, brutalist, like just unfun, unpleasant, just gnarly movies I've seen in quite a while. But I loved it. And it's definitely not for everyone. If you have a weak stomach, if you're queasy, if you can't handle brutality, you should probably skip The Sadness, because it's definitely not an easy watch. But I loved it. What does that say about me, though, right? Next up, we got kind of a one that nobody's talking about. I think the only other person I saw talking about this was James Rolfe. It's called Deadstream.
I don't want to be remembered as a douchebag. Somebody help me!
And it's basically just about this dude that live streams himself going into a haunted house, and all hell breaks loose once he's in the house. Very simple premise. Very simple premise, but the execution was great. And I haven't seen anybody talking about this movie other than James. It's funny as hell. It reminded me a lot of Evil Dead. Like, the budget was low, but they did what they need. They did what they could with the budget they had, and they nailed it. They nailed the Twitch culture, that's for sure. Like, they nailed that spot on. The guy's a prick just for views. He's basically like a Logan Paul, but it's so well done. The visual, like the practical effects are really well done. There's actually some scary moments in it. It's not even just like a comedy. There's actually some genuinely freaky moments in that movie. It's on Shudder. I would highly recommend it. If you haven't seen Deadstream, you should check it out. It's really good. Next up, we got Jordan Peele's Nope. I am so happy that I went into Nope completely blind. I had no idea what I was getting into with that one. I saw one trailer. The trailer didn't show shit other than a UFO. And I was like, all right, I'm in. It's Jordan Peele too, so I mean, of course I'm going to watch it. I loved Nope. I loved that it was basically like an adventurous horror western. Like, it was like sci-fi horror. It kind of felt a little bit like Close Encounters of the Third Kind crossed with like just like a western with like some horror aspects to it. I loved it. It was great. It had a really good score. I actually have a lot of the score on Spotify. The cast was great. The effects of the UFO itself, I really don't want to spoil it, but Nope's been out for so long at this point. Everybody's seen it. Like, you cannot tell me that thing was not inspired by Evangelion. Like, its design near the end of the movie, that shit looked like an angel. There's no way he was not inspired by Evangelion. And the scene where the thing is like hovering over top of the house, oh, it was so good. Probably one of the best visually striking movies that I've seen probably all year. It was fantastic. I loved it. And next up, we got Prey. Probably the movie that I watched the most out of last year. I fucking love Prey, man. The Predator wasn't very good, but the idea of taking the Predator and just throwing him into the past against a bunch of Comanche and just like a war between those two, and like the like having basically like well, I think it was supposed to be like the first Predator to ever arrive on Earth. So you basically had like a Predator that was trying to like learn its own and like hold its own and like become what it was supposed to be against a Comanche warrior who was also trying to figure out who she's supposed to be. Like the parallels between that and how they have to like outwit each other. It was so good. The music was so good. The visuals were so good. The Predator was a badass. She was a badass. Amber Midthunder. Plus having a name like Amber Midthunder. Come on. That's dope. It was a great movie. At this point, all you got to do, if you want to make these, just keep making Predator movies, but just keep throwing them into like different time periods. I think Jeremy Johns already said this, but it was exactly how I feel. I would love a Predator movie set in feudal Japan and get Hiroyuki Sanada to fight the Predator. Like, give me that. I'll go see that shit like 10 times. Just do that. That's literally a license to print money. And make it authentically Japanese. Have them speak Japanese in the movie. Just do it. Please. Another really good one is Pinocchio.
Life is such a wonderful gift.
I really like Pinocchio. Which is funny. It's funny that like Disney remade their Pinocchio and it was a piece of shit. But then Guillermo del Toro comes out with like a Pinocchio that's like a dark take with like fascism, and it takes place during like World War I, and the stop motion animation is stunning, and it becomes like one of the best movies of the year. It's probably going to win the best animated film at the Oscars. I almost guarantee it. That's probably going to happen. Hell, it might even, no, it's not going to get nominated for Best Picture, I don't think, but it's definitely going to win Best Animated Film. Meanwhile, Disney's just like punching air because they're like, fuck, we got Tom Hanks and it still sucked. Next up, we got the sequel to Knives Out, Glass Onion.
Killer wouldn't hesitate to kill again if it covers their tracks.
I loved Glass Onion, man. I love Clue, and I just wish they made more movies like this. I love the idea of just like taking one central character to these plots, which is Daniel Craig's character, and just throwing him into different casts. I love that dynamic because he's the only returning cast member to this that was in Knives Out. None of the same people came back. And it's just a blast. It's a fun watch. It's entertaining. It's funny. All the actors are great. The ensemble cast is perfect. You just keep doing that. Apparently, Rian Johnson's already working on a third one. So perfect. Perfect. Give us an entirely new cast. Just bring Daniel Craig back. Boom. That's all you got to do. You basically have a recipe to print money at that point. Next up, we got a documentary that made me cry. I didn't think it was going to make me cry. It did make me cry, right? It did make me cry. I'm a man. I had one tear. By the end of the movie, I had like one tear that just kind of worked its way out as I stared at my projector. And that's Good Night, Oppie.
Good night, Opportunity. Well done.
So if you don't know what this is about, it's a documentary that was produced by Amblin Entertainment, released by Amazon. That basically is just a documentary about the Mars rover Opportunity, which was supposed to last on Mars for I think 90 days, I think is what it was projected to last for. But she ended up lasting for like 15 years or something like that. And the documentary covers basically Opportunity's creation up until its final moments on Mars. It's a very interesting, very beautifully shot movie. They have like CGI that's done by Lucasfilms. The music's great. It basically feels like a Spielberg movie that's a documentary about a robot, and I loved it. It gave me very Wall-E vibes. So you should know what you're getting into, but it's really entertaining documentary. Next up, we got Barbarian.
This is perfectly natural.
Which is one that everybody was like talking about, but they were always saying, go into it blind. Don't watch a trailer. Don't even watch a trailer. And after I watched the movie, I watched the trailer. And really the first trailer, as long as you just watch the first trailer, it didn't spoil anything really. But I loved Barbarian. I love that it was like, spoilers if you haven't seen Barbarian, you should have at this point if you were gonna. It feels like two different movies put together, where almost like From Dusk Till Dawn, where like that movie feels like a heist film up until the vampire switch, and that's kind of what Barbarian does. Barbarian is like a halfway through the movie, it just does a 180 on you, and it completely turns into a separate movie. but it's great. Justin Long's great. The whole cast was great. There were some genuinely creepy parts in it. It was very over the top. It was very fun. I love Barbarian. One of the best horror movies I've seen in quite a long time. Check it out. Next up, we got one that I really haven't heard anybody talking about, which I'm kind of surprised. It's Netflix's remake of All Quiet on the Western Front.
Du musst jetzt tapfer sein. Für die, die es nicht geschafft haben. Für uns alle.
This movie it's basically about World War I and like a soldier's beginnings when he first starts World War I. And it's kind of, the way they do it, it's kind of cool, because like the very beginning of the movie, you see a soldier get killed, and then you basically watch the journey of his clothes and like his equipment from the moment he's killed, as it's like cleaned and like repurposed through the war machine, and then it ends up in the hands of our main character near like the beginning of the movie. Very interesting, very, very cool way to do it. But like the combat sequences were brutal. It was a really gritty, horrible take on World War I. There's like one scene in particular where the main character gets into like a knife fight with like a dude in a crater, and it's awful. Like, it was hard to watch. The ending's hard to watch. Just this whole movie, this whole movie's hard to watch. But it's like, it's really well done, and I don't know why no one's talked about it. I haven't seen it on anybody's list, which is really weird. Because it was like on Netflix. Everybody could watch it. I don't get it. All right, so we got 4 more left. And these 4, I would say, if this was going to be a top 10 list, these would be the top 4. These movies are easily the ones that I love the most. So we're just going to get into it. So we got Spielberg's return to form with The Fablemans.
What was your favorite part?
Admittedly, some of Spielberg's latest films, not been great. I mean, the dude's made a lot of movies in his career, man. I mean, I'll see anything he makes, but there's some stuff that just, the BFG, like, man. But The Fablemans, which is basically a retelling of his true life story. It's like a semi-biographical movie that like kind of, he just changed the names to The Fablemans, but it's really about his life story. It's a beautiful movie, and if you love filmmaking, if you love the art of making film, you'll love The Fablemans. It's got that Spielberg touch to it that feels like an old school Spielberg movie. It's got beautiful music. John Williams did the score for it. Beautiful music. All the acting's great across the board. Seeing a kid just like, seeing how Spielberg started his love of film, from like seeing a movie in the theater for the first time, leading up to like what he ended up doing later. It's just a fantastic movie. I loved The Fablemans. Check it out if you haven't seen it. If you're into movies, watch it. And then this one, it's probably the latest movie that I saw on this list. I actually just watched this yesterday, or like 2 days ago. And because everybody was talking about it, and I was like, there's no way I could live up to the hype. There's no way. It was on Netflix. I was like, fuck it, let's watch it. And that's RRR. Rise, Roar, Revolt. Holy shit, man. Holy shit. This blew me away. I did not expect it to be as good as it was. I knew everybody was like screaming its praises, but I was like, there's no way it lives up to that hype. It did. RRR, RRR. I hate calling it RRR. Either way, it's amazing. I mean, it's all over the place. It feels like 8 different movies all combined into one, but like the action sequences are so insane. In Hollywood, if someone comes up with a crazy idea in a script, right, for an action movie, they're just like, no, but we gotta like tame it down. We gotta make it realistic for like because our audiences are gonna they're gonna be like, that's dumb. But like in India, they're like, we're gonna have a dude fucking kick a motorbike in the wheel while it's coming towards him, and it flips in the air, and then he grabs it by the wheel and he starts swinging it around like a 2x4. Or we're just gonna have like a dude on top of another dude's back, running through the woods, doing crazy martial arts shit while one dude's on a dude's back and they're climbing up. Like, they don't give a shit, man. Physics be damned. They're just like, whatever, man. This is it entertaining? All right, let's do it. RRR. I was so sweaty. By the end of RRR, dude, I felt like I'd been sitting in a sauna. Like the adrenaline, I was moist, boy. It's good. If you haven't seen RRR, just do it. And the last two. All right, now we got, I'd say probably my second favorite movie of the year if I had to choose. Say what you will about the guy as a person. Because I agree that some of the shit that he does is questionable. His Scientology views, not great. But Top Gun Maverick. Dude, the guy is a fucking movie star, man. Tom Cruise is the closest thing that we have today to like a Jackie Chan in Hollywood. The dude knows how to make movies, man. I would say it's safe to say Top Gun Maverick saved cinemas because they were dying. There was a period in time during the COVID pandemic when theaters were just like dead, and like it was starting to look kind of sketchy there. Like, were they ever going to come back? Were things going to be completely different? And then Top Gun Maverick came out, and everybody's just like, ah, shit, man, that you gotta go back and see that in the theater. That blew me away. The action sequences, the music. It's a fun movie, man. Doesn't overcomplicate itself. It reminds me of Mad Max Fury Road, where like the whole movie is just basically just like a chase sequence. They don't overcomplicate it or anything. That's what Top Gun Maverick feels like. You have the mission, you have the pilots, you have training for the mission, and then you have the execution of the mission. That's it. There's no crazy politics. There's nothing like that. You don't even know the name of the enemy military that they're going against. You just have the mission. And it's fucking dope. I loved it. And now we come to my favorite movie of the year. This one, I've shown multiple people, and every time they watch it, by the end of it, they're just like, bro. And I think everybody already knows what this is going to be because there's a big movie that I haven't mentioned yet that everybody else is talking about. So my favorite movie of the year, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Don't let anything distract you from it.
Dude, it's a masterpiece. It's perfect. Michelle Yeoh, her performance in that movie, everybody's performance really, but Michelle Yeoh, oh man, she's so good. It's such a hard movie to explain to people, you know? It's just like one of those movies that like you have to see it because it's way too hard to explain. And it's like one of those movies that you need to watch multiple times. Like it rewards multiple viewings because you see new stuff that you never saw the first time you seen. I've seen that movie like 5 times now and I'm still seeing new stuff that I didn't see the first time. It's a phenomenal movie. It's great. I just find it funny that like Marvel's trying to get their own multiverse shit going. Like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. But then this comes along with its own multiverse take that just completely annihilates Marvel out of the water. It's a perfect movie. It's heartfelt, it's beautiful, it's fucking hilarious, it's got great action sequences. Michelle Yeoh used to work with Jackie Chan back in the day, so you know she's capable of all the stuff that she's doing. She's a great martial artist in her own right. Jamie Lee Curtis is great. The whole cast is great. Everything Everywhere All at Once is the perfect movie. It's the best movie of the year. If Michelle Yeoh does not win Best Actress at the Academy Awards, I'm like, that's it. I'm like done with them. Cause like, no, that's it. I can understand it maybe not winning Best Picture. It really deserves it though, if I'm being brutally honest with you. But yeah, if you haven't seen Everything Everywhere All at Once, please do. Please do. It's perfect. Whew, man, that took my mouth is dry. I hope you guys enjoyed that list. I know it wasn't a top 10, and I know top 10s get views because people like come in here to argue about what their top 10. They're like, you didn't put that at number 1, you bitch. But you know, I don't care. Like I saw too many movies to narrow that list down, you know? So I was just like, screw it. Let's pile them all into one and let's just talk about it. So let me know. What was your guys' favorite movies of the year? I'm genuinely curious. Leave them in the comments down below because I'm wondering what they were. Is it the same as mine? Probably not. But there you go. Yeah, those are my favorite movies of the year. Next up should be probably the movies that I didn't like. And then my most anticipated movies. I'll see you guys in the next video.